Hi there, this is a short tutorial on the function of the 1, 4, and 5 chords, or also known as the tonic, subdominant, and dominant chords, and also how to write various patterns using chorale style, or also known as SATB, or soprano, alto, tenor, bass. This is a supplementary short assignment to support Unit 3 of the Royal Conservatory Celebrate Harmony Level 9 materials. So let me just go over and share my screen. And I've got a handy dandy stylus pen here. What I'm going to do is work through a couple of the different exercises together. In this first page, what we have is we have various exercises in which we need to notate the chord progressions, just using whole notes would be fine, but also to recognize which key we are in as well. Now, of course, in a minor key, the 1 and the 4 chord, or also known as the tonic and subdominant chords, are minor chords, and in a major key, the tonic and subdominant chords are major chords. In a minor key, the dominant chord is major, and in a major key, the dominant chord is also a major chord. So let's take a look at this first example. And we are in the key of F minor, because you can see here the clue is the lowercase tonic chord. Technically, we could also be in the key of A flat major, but in order to write in that key, we would need to have capital tonic chords. In this example, we do not. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, what you want to do is fill in the bass notes. And I'll do my best to draw this neatly. So you have an F for the tonic chord, a C for the dominant chord, and then an F. Now let's see, maybe we could put an F in the soprano, and then we also want to put the raised leading tone in the soprano, and then you can see how we have then the raised leading tone rising up to the tonic. That's a very important part of, especially of authentic cadences or 5/1 cadences, because we want to make sure that the raised leading tone in a minor key or the leading tone in a major key always rises up if possible. You can also drop down a third to the fifth of the tonic chord, but it's the best option is to try to have that leading tone rise to the tonic. Now we have the outside voices filled in. Maybe what we can do now is put the third, which is A flat in the 1 chord, in the alto voice, and then we'll put C in the tenor, and then put a G here, and then put an A flat here. So you can see here we have root, root, third, fifth. Then we have root, third, fifth here. So we could put a root here to make that look really successful. Something that is a possibility if you want could be to put a G here, but that creates parallel fifths between the tenor and the bass in this chord and in this chord. So I would suggest not doing that. Here we can put a common tone basically all the way across. So now a way to organize and edit or just check your homework to make sure that the voice leading is successful is to always check to make sure the voice leading is successful between each set of chords in the soprano and bass, soprano and alto, soprano and tenor, and alto and tenor, as well as the alto and bass. And you would do that, even though there's a lot of yellow lines here, you would do that same process for every 2 chords. So you would do that for the first chord and then the second chord. Then you would start off again and do the same thing. Let's use green this time. You can see where we can fill this in. It will get very, very full. But just for the sake of demonstration, whew, look at all that interesting, all that interesting checking. Now, what we can do is erase all of that just to make it look better. Ooh, a couple of voices disappeared, so let's fill those back in the way we want them. Raised leading tone especially. So essentially, when we're looking at analyzing and writing in the certain parts for a cadence, such as this, you want to make sure that you fill in all the voices and think of smooth voice leading as best as possible. Now on this page, there are some certain practice questions where in some cases the chord progression is written in, sometimes the chord progression is not written in. And sometimes this happens in our homework, where we'll see either the bass note is given or the soprano is given, the bass line or soprano line. And sometimes there are chord progressions, sometimes there are not. So it's up to us to do some sleuthing to see what key we are in. In this case, what you also want to do is make sure that if there is one of the outside voices missing, you want to write that in, or at least think about the way that musical line will go, which direction it will go, and then also which chords correspond. If we look at this example here, we are in the scale of A major, so we can fill that in. And here we have the 1 chord going to the 5 chord, going to 4, and then here's a 5 chord going to 1. Now let's fill in the soprano. Now here, this is a 5th. You could potentially go from B down to A, but then we have to watch out because there could be a perfect 5th here, a parallel 5th, so we've got to watch out for that. Maybe we'll put in a D, down to a B, and then over to an A. The trickiest part about doing chorale writing is when we have chords like the 4 going to 5 progression, in which there are completely different notes between the two chords. In that case, there could be the possibility for parallel intervals, and it's always good to watch out for those, especially parallel 5ths and octaves. Then what we can do is then fill in the rest of the notes, making sure to, again, check for voice leading that's successful, and also make sure that the smooth voice leading occurs, where sometimes if there's an occasion to write a large leap in the same voice, you might want to reconsider the groupings of notes so that there's always smooth voice leading as much as possible. So I do hope this tutorial was helpful for you, and all the best as you continue to work through the level 9 harmony. Take care for now.